Observations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
This letter comes from Prestonian. Prestonian says, "Hey, Rob, I thought I would send in a last-minute birthday wish. By the time you read this on the show, it'll be 2 days later, so happy belated birthday." It is, in fact, Prestonian, 2 days later. I hope you had a terrific weekend with Elizabeth. I did. I was driving Lyft earlier this week, and I had ROBSERVATIONS playing in the background. Towards the end of the night, when your show ended, another video popped up randomly, and I couldn't figure out what it was until I heard they started talking about William Shatner. And then your voice came on, and you were talking about him. I didn't immediately realize who it was because you sounded a bit different. The vid went on to talk about how you and Shatner and someone else got together to read a script that you'd written. I didn't realize this about you, that you had written a script that Shatner had liked. Anyway, when I was done driving for the night, I was finally able to look at my phone, and I saw that the video was quite old. Maybe it was from the 2000s. I never finished the video, nor was I able to go back and find it. When did this happen? It seems that there is so much more to your story than I know. You always say everyone has a story to tell, and I believe, sir, that you have many stories to tell. If you know what I'm talking about, please indulge us. Perhaps you've told this story on the show, but I've definitely missed it. Maybe I haven't watched this show long enough either. Anyway, have yourself a better day. Sincerely, the Prestonian. Well, it's really, it's kind of funny because, I've done so many things in my career, and I never know when you're talking to people what they do and what they don't know about you. And you, Mr. Prestonian, I have to say there's something about me you don't know, and that's fine. Why should you? But back in 1999, actually on June 4th, 1999, a movie that I directed, I co-wrote and edited. I directed, edited, and co-wrote the film came out called Free Enterprise. It's a feature film that stars Eric McCormack, Emmy winner Eric McCormack, and Emmy winner William Shatner. It also stars Deborah Van Valkenburg, who we love from The Warriors, or Too Close for Comfort, or Streets of Fire, and a bunch of other great people. Rafer Weigel, who is the son of Tim Weigel, and Patrick Van Horn, who starred in Swingers, and Phil Lamar, Jonathan Slavin, and a great cast, Audie England, who starred in Solomon King's Delta Venus. And it was a story sort of loosely based on my life and my co-writer's life, Mark Altman, what it was like to sort of be living in L.A. in the mid-'90s. And it's out of print. It didn't do very well financially because we didn't have much of a budget to promote it, and the internet wasn't what it is now. So I would love to raise money and buy the negative from our original investor. It's kind of been sitting since 2006. I'd like to do just spruce up the film and make it a little bit more modern, tweak it a little bit, make it a little better, and get it out in 4K. That would be, hopefully, that's one of my dreams. I'd like to do that. So that's what you might have heard. Also, we were very, very close. We were in pre-production to make the sequel, and days before we were going to make the sequel, which was Free Enterprise, The Wrath of Shatner, we lost our funding, literally 2 days before the beginning of principal photography. And when we did the sequel, it took us quite some time for Mark and I to come up with an idea for what the sequel would be, but it was based on something William Shatner said. Now, famously in our movie, William Shatner plays himself. He plays a different version of himself, Bill, and he's kind of a troubled, drinks too much guy. I mean, he's sending up himself, but in more of a serious way. And it was very funny because William Shatner sort of has become the character we portrayed him as in our movie. So back in 2008, 9, 10, when we were initially writing the script for Free Enterprise, the sequel, Free Enterprise, The Wrath of Shatner, I had done some work with Shatner, and I asked him, I said, Bill, if we were going to make a sequel to this movie, what would your character of Bill, what would that entail? And William Shatner says, he stopped for a minute, and he's like, I think my character would become a rabbi. And I was like, what? Yeah, a rabbi. That's what I want to be. And I was like, really? And he was like, yep, figure that out. So I mulled over this for a long time, and Mark Altman and I, his son Isaac had recently been born, and we used to go have lunch at this Mexican joint in Culver City. And one day we took Isaac with us, and we're kind of talking about it, and we both, like, it was one of those moments where we both stopped and looked up a rabbi, and we both had the same idea almost at exactly the same time, and we're like, that's it. And we wrote the script for Free Enterprise Wrath of Shatner because we'd written like 30 pages of it, and we were going to do it as a TV pilot, and we just didn't have. But then it was all clear to us what the story was. So maybe that's what you heard. But it never got made. We were 2 days away from principal photography. 2 days away. And it was, again, the aughts were filled with the best of times, the worst of times. So that's where that comes from. I appreciate the kind words, however, so thank you for that. But there you go. I think, now you know.